Morning.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning, Bevin. I'm trying to find them.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm a little bit upset about something.
Oh, is it the same thing that you were talking about on Monday?
Yes, my budget died. My budget died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll type something in the chat box for you. All right. Pause the music. Good morning, everyone. Hi. Welcome to our event. I noticed Liz Ojam is here already. So let me go ahead and allow screen sharing for multiple people. And I did that, Liz Ojam. So thank you once again for joining us. And if I can take over the stage very quickly to introduce Liz Ojam. So, dear professors, students, colleagues, friends, welcome to the second event of Teaching English to Young Learners seminar series. So this is our first event this year, and I'm delighted to introduce Miss Lizoya Önguç to you today. Ms. Önguç has been in the field of English language education for about 25 years now. She received her degree at Ankara University, Faculty of Letters, Department of English Language and Literature. Ever since her graduation, she has contributed to the field of English language education in numerous ways. As a pre-primary English language teacher, true native speaker, a teacher trainer, and the head of preschool and primary school English language acquisition department of a private school, coordinating over 300 teachers and 53 campuses all across Turkey. Liz Hanım, for those of you who might remember, joined us with another seminar on children's storybooks event last year, and she kindly accepted to be our guest speaker today as well to talk about phonics instruction. She is a published author in phonics, as she has 6 books which are part of a phonics series. We are meeting today, so she informs us about her take on phonics instruction as part of the early English program. Liz Hanım actually is very busy. She has a very busy agenda, and I would like to thank her for joining us today. And after this brief introduction, I would like to leave the floor to Miss Liz Oya Önguç. And she will take over, and I believe it will be an interactive presentation, but feel free, we're going to have a follow-up discussion part or question answer part. So feel free to type your questions in the chat box during her presentation. And now the stage is all yours, Liz Hocam.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to be here again. I'm always delighted to be with young people. It makes me feel younger. So I'm so
for being with
happy.
us.
Thank you very much for inviting Hocam. It's an honor being here. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about phonics, yes. And now, Hocam, did you have a chance to send out the Word document? Okay,
I did.
all right. So I'll start with that. Okay,
Mhm.
then. So we don't have much time, so that's why I want to quickly go into, there we are. Okay. So did you have a chance to look at the Word document? I'm asking, I'm really asking, by the way. So, yeah, so, I mean, you can just turn on your
something in the
microphones
chat
and,
box.
yeah,
Mhm.
or you can write it over the chat box, however you wish. Did you have a chance to look at the Word document?
Yes.
Why is not, okay, I can't see the chat box.
Yeah, they say yes.
Okay, all right, good. I'm glad
Good
to hear
students.
that. Yeah, okay. So let's go over them briefly. So it would be some sort of lead in to the topic. So the first question was about teaching the alphabet. Should we actually teach it or not? Or why or when or how, etc. So any ideas? Is there anybody who would like to say their opinion regarding this? Maybe a few words? I know it's early in the morning. You just woke up. Who's going to talk about the alphabet? Are there any?
Can they turn on their microphones and talk?
Yeah, sure, sure.
The audience, please try your best to respond to this question. Should we teach the alphabet to young learners? Why? Why not?
We should teach.
There are some people raising the hand. Tarık, choose for you, Liz Hocam.
Yes,
you
okay.
don't get to see who is doing what at the.
Yes, I saw them. So we've
great.
got Berfin Dilara. I can see. Okay. Berfin Dilara.
So my opinion is yes, we can teach, but is it implicit or explicit? I think it might be the explicit, not that explicit one. Implicit one is better for the young learners because meta language is not yet having a domination over the young learners' cognition. So we have to teach it implicitly, but we teach, yes.
Okay. How would you teach the alphabet implicitly?
Via songs, like TPR songs, especially. So
Okay.
our teacher just presented in the previous weeks.
Okay. Thank you very much. I had a few more hands, but now I don't have any. Where did they go?
They disappeared. Tarık, do you want to take on the question?
Yes.
Tarık is still raising his
Yes.
hand.
I
Yes,
also
sir.
think we should teach alphabet to young learners because it's important in terms of pronunciation, in terms of hearing the language. So if they want to sound better, they need to hear better.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, we do teach the alphabet at some point, at some time, but not. Okay, I saw the chat box as well. So yes, now I can see everything. Okay. At some point, we do teach the alphabet. I'll talk about that in detail, but I just wanted to hear what you think. But with research, it's been understood that if you teach the alphabet, the names of the letters like A, B, C, D, it actually hinders the learning of reading and writing. That's because, for example, the letter C, we say C, but we rarely read it as C. It's usually K, isn't it? The letter C. So because when, let's say cat, you spell it as C-A-T, but in order to read the word cat, if you use the name of the letter C, then you should be reading it as sat. That's why if you have a phonics program, or if you're teaching them how to read and write, teaching the alphabet first actually hinders, or it is not advised to teach because it damages their reading process. Now, the second part was the 3 words unscrambling. I hope you found them. The first one was synthetic, the second one was analytical, and the third one was embedded. Yes, all these 3 words are related to types of phonics teaching programs. And today I will be talking about synthetic phonics. And the other ones, embedded, and there's also a blended version, like add a few more. But so very generally, these are the names of the phonics teaching methods people used. Now, when you look at the alphabet, we've got how many? 25, 26? How many 26 words do we have? Yes, 26 letters in the alphabet, but we don't have 26 sounds. We have 44 sounds, just like the letter C. It could be a k, it could be a, it could be other things. So we've got 44 sounds in English. Mm-hmm. There was a dictionary entry question. The purpose of this was now, when we were learning English, or when we were studying English, we had real hands-on dictionaries, like very thick, and we used to take them to school every day, and we made very good muscles by taking them to school. But now everything is digital and all the dictionaries are online. But the old dictionaries, the old printed versions, they had very good parts where you could see the pronunciation, parts of speech, the definitions, etc. Some online dictionaries do that as well, but not all of them. So a really good dictionary, or that would lead you, has all these parts. And here, the pronunciation part is very important, because normally, how could you read this if you were if you did not know how to read anything in English? You would call it like volcano, but it's not like that, is it? So it's volcano. So how are you going to know on Earth? I mean, how are you going to know to read that? So this pronunciation part is very important, and it's directly related to phonics teaching. If the students don't have a phonics teaching, then they would not be able to read this. Okay, the next question was the relationship between graphemes, phonemes, and letters. Okay, now phonemes are the sounds of English, the 44 sounds, they're called phonemes, and it's like the k sound of C. And here, if you can see, so this is the symbol of the S, and this is the P, and this is the U, and N. And here in the graphemes, it's the symbols of how to read or voice the letters. So this is the symbol of the U sound. And this is a symbol of the N sound. And the letters are the normal letters we use every day, the S-P-O-O-N sound. So they're all related to reading, but one is about the sounds, the phonemes, and the graphemes are the symbols of the sounds. So it's like the sound alphabet, to make it easy to remember. And we've got the letters, the names of the alphabet, let me say. Okay. So we've got 3 parts in these. When we look at 6, we've got the A, letter A, in different words, like, just like I talked about the letter C, here we've got A, they're all A, but they're not A in all of the words. In the first one, it's A, it's A, it's O, it's O, slightly different, and again, A. So it's just one A, but in different sounds in each of the words. So we would have the letter A, but the graphemes and the phonemes are completely different of each A in these words. Okay, so I'll leave this at this point and start my presentation. Okay. Yes, here we go. Now, sorry. On my journey, teaching English journey, I worked in different places, universities, private courses, K-12 schools, and even kindergarten. What I learned, especially at university level, I noticed that the students had no training on how to read or how to sound out or how to read the dictionary entries of the pronunciation part. It was not their fault because nobody showed them. And it was like, okay, you learn a new word, you see it in a text and you read the dictionary definition, fantastic, okay, but how are you going to pronounce it? Like difficult words like entrepreneur or onomatopoeia kind of words. How are you going to read it? So they did not know. And in order to be autonomous learners, to learn by themselves, to carry on learning and developing and improving, they needed that training. And when you try to teach it at university level, it's quite difficult because some things should be taught before. When you start teaching the very first time at university level, it really is a problem because there are so many other things to learn. And it's normally the time to get your occupation, get your profession at university, but you're still dealing with other things. And it should be finished by then, in my opinion. So when I became the head of department of primary and preschool, then I said, okay, it's a great chance to do this right from the beginning. And by the time they go up to university, they will be autonomous learners. They will know how to read a word because they would be trained with the sounds of English. So I said, okay, I want to implement a phonics program in our school, and where am I now and where do I want to be? I first had a look at that so that I could plan my journey on the way. I had to look at what I got in my hands and what is it needed for my dream phonics training. So I had to read a lot. I read millions of research articles, etc. And I asked for opinions to experts. I asked questions to all the trainers I found and all the ELT authorities. And I also searched the market for the books and the materials. What do they have in Turkey? Okay, now I had so many things to think about. How can I move this? Okay, sorry. I had so many things to think about. First, I had to decide on the method. How are we going to do this? Is it going to be analytical? Is it going to be synthetic? Is it going to be embedded? Which method am I going to use? And I'm not alone in my teaching. I'm not a just English school. I've got my homeroom teachers and they teach Turkish reading and writing as well. What do? I looked at that. And I looked at the cultural issues because the students in America, they learn how to read, and students in the UK or Australia, they learn how to read too. How do they do it? And is the program they're learning, is it cultural? Are there so many cultural elements in it? And vocabulary matters was very important because our students are English learners, so they don't know all the words. They're not exposed to all the words in daily life. But in America or in Australia or in the UK, they know more words by the time they reach phonics instructions. And usually teachers tend to teach the alphabet, and the books do that too. On the very first page, you would probably see an alphabet and the alphabet song, and it's kind of a tradition to teach the alphabet. So that was something I needed to consider. And the teachers, we've got teachers with various backgrounds, and so they have never taught phonics before. They don't know what it is because they came from the existing educational system, so they were not taught phonics as well. So they needed to be trained on that too. And the taste of students is very important. What do they enjoy? What kind of songs, what kind of samples, what kind of drawing, etc. They enjoy, because that's very important. When students love the material, they devote themselves, and usually the learning is quite successful. And then I had, okay, when am I going to start it? Kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, when, how, who's doing what? So with the Turkish curriculum as well, I had to think about quite a lot, but it was a chance to go global too. So it was not just about teaching phonics. It was not about teaching reading and writing. It was a chance for me to provide the students with information that all the kids in the world go through, with a blending of our Turkish students. So when you just implement something, you get it and you just put it, sometimes it doesn't fit. Not sometimes, actually, usually, or quite often it doesn't fit, because there are cultural issues, background, a lot of things. So an adaptation to the Turkish student profile is very important in terms of the materials. Yes, authentic, but blended authentic, I believe works better. So there were various methods. So I searched and searched and found this book, Letters and Sounds. It's a UK-based program, and that was how they taught phonics to their students. So I found a framework. I did not need to invent the wheel again. So I found the framework, and based on that, I looked at the sound teaching of the homeroom teachers, the mother tongue sounds. So what are they teaching? Which sounds are they teaching first? And how are they going on? So they use the same system. They teach sounds instead of letters. So that was quite good, actually, because it matched. So nobody was going to be awkward. Okay, you teach the letters, you teach the sound. No, we did not have something like that. It was like teaching the sound only. They did that in Turkish and we did that in English. Now, the program has 6 phases of teaching the phonics gradually. The first phase is about hearing the sound and discriminating. What did you hear? Oh, that's a bird. Oh, that's a car passing by. So active listening skills and fine motor skills training was involved in phase 1. So the homeroom teachers, the Turkish teachers, are doing that too. So I skipped that part because they were working on the muscles, they were working on active listening, and I started from phase 2 directly and finished it in the middle of third phase. Now, when you look at the books published in America, in the UK, or in Australia, there is a gap because the culture and even the TV programs are different. So if we're going to teach something new, it can't be new, new, and new. So it has to be one unknown and the other things should be known. So when the content is not familiar, they don't know the content, they don't know the phonics part, so how are they going to understand? They need to be familiar with the content at least so that we can build on and help them understand what they're going to learn. But if everything is new, then which one are they going to learn? Too much. Again, the vocabulary, native children can come up with words, difficult words in daily life, but our students don't have that because they're just being, introduced to new words gradually. So I can't use that too. So am I going to teach the word or am I going to teach the sound? Again, too many unknown issues. So the vocabulary had to be similar so that they can understand sounds, blending, segmenting. And the teachers and the course books have a habit of teaching the alphabet. So it's a sound before letter approach. So I had to train the teachers as well on this topic, which is still a struggle, to be honest, because everybody learned the alphabet first. So even when they're introducing the sounds, they, fall into their old habits of saying the names of the letters. So for example, it's S, that's the letter, but the sound is S. So building the habit of saying S to the letter S is actually a challenging habit because teaching the alphabet and knowing the names of the letters is quite strong. Okay, and the teachers had no previous teaching experience. Most of them did not even know what phonics is. So the teacher's notes, the teacher's book had to be quite guiding in terms of, okay, do this. This is the stage, do this. This is the stage, do this. So that even if they don't know, they would just rely on the teacher's book and carry on. Now, the new generation preferences, yes, our students, especially like visual, auditory, kinesthetic things, don't they? They need to move around, they need to see it, they need to feel it, they need to hear it, they need to dance with it, they need to play with it, and hands-on approaches usually with young learners. So the materials are usually, okay, sit down and write, which is not so meaningful. So the content should be more visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. And we also thought of implementing the first phase in kindergarten because then they can actively listen. Yes, they don't have the fine motor skills, but they can be ready. So into our English program, we also implemented like Play-Doh activities so that they can improve their muscles. Active listening tasks, like they go out and listen. What do you hear? They've got big elephant ears. Then they know that they're doing an active listening task and they go out and listen and tell each other what they hear. So the first phase starts in kindergarten, actually. so that they would be, ready for the upcoming phonics teaching. And the last part, the chance to go global, is actually an opportunity, as I said, because if they go abroad, they would be familiar with what the other children know, even nursery rhymes or some specific songs, jokes, and things they learn in America, Australia, United Kingdom, or the other countries. Our students would at least have an idea of some, or hopefully most of them. So that was the hidden agenda of the program as well. So it's not just teaching phonics, not just teaching the sounds. It had becoming global citizens, being, in harmony with what's going on in the world, was also planned and implemented into the program. Yeah, okay. And I talked about this actually. So it's about knowing what's going on, but in a way where the students, or starting from where the students actually are. Because if you don't start from where you are, getting to that point is difficult, because if you don't know where you are, you would not be able to know which skills, which beliefs, which behaviors to improve. The program has 7 sound booklets and 1 teacher's book, and it's got smartboard presentations and extra materials like cards, fans, games, and bookmarks to assist the program. The program was first piloted in 11 campuses with 200 students. So it started in 2017, and right after the piloting stage, it was made into a book and officially used after that year. So since then, we've been using this program. For the piloting stage, active lesson observations and oral and written feedback were carried out from teachers, students, and I personally did the observations and saw, did it really work, etc. So we also gathered the data necessary to carry on. And these pictures are from the first year. It was not a book, it was kind of a printed booklet for them. And that year, in 2017, they were using cursive letters. Then it went into normal, regular writing. As you can see, they've got their posters with the sounds printed on them. It's always there to remind them of the letters they learned, but it's not done on the very first day. When they're about, let's say, 8th or 9th sound, we stick the posters on their desks. Okay. So that's the official presentation, but I also want to show the teacher's materials and how we actually deal with the teaching of it. Okay. Now they have flashcards as well. This is just the book pages, but there are many other activities. The teacher, introduces the sound with flashcards usually first. But the first 2 pages is to identify or to link and anchor a word, a picture, and the sound. So when they see an ant, the ant picture is linked to the a sound, and they officially hear the
Hocam, I guess you needed to when you shared your screen, you need to click on share the sound option. So that's the reason why we didn't get to hear.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I found it, Jim. Okay.
Ant.
Was that audible, Jim? Could you hear that?
Perfect, Hojam, thank you.
Okay, so they associate the sound with a picture and they hear the sound. So that's a function of the first two pages. They meet it with a picture and the sound. Now here, you know, these are the writing lines when they learn how to write, where to write the letter, those are the lines. But here it has another function. So this is the ground level, grass and the sky. So when you write the word, you write it in the grass or you go reach up into the sky and you come down to the grass, and sometimes you go deep down into the ground as well. So this helps in teaching where to write it. Does it go down or up or in between the green fresh grass? Where is it? So this also assists the teacher in learning how to write. Now, in the teacher's presentations, we usually have a part. They saw a picture, they heard the sound, and then we slightly go into a song to have fun. Bounce Petrol guys are really good. I really like their videos.
Can you make the letter sounds? We can show you how. What letter shall we learn?
This song actually focuses on sounding out the letter and giving examples of words. So I'm building up on the vocabulary with the sound, and these series were actually good with that.
About the letter A. This is a capital A.
First introduction of the capital and the lowercase logic as well comes here.
This is a lowercase a. You know how the A looks now. Let's make the letter A sound. Yes! A is for ant. A is for apple. A is for astronaut.
So some words are introduced, and so this is the first introduction of the sound and the words associated. Then the next 2 pages of the book, here we've got how to write it, where to start, first movement, second movement, third movement, and that one. So usually teachers don't know this as well. That's why it's in the book, so that everybody can see and everybody can do it together. Because it can change from time to time. The cursive was quite different. And when we moved on to this type of writing, the book letter writing, it had to be there so that they could be standard. This part shows how to write it, and to make this kinesthetic, we have a few set movements, like they write it in their palms, they write it on the back of their friends, they write it on their notebooks with their fingers, they write it on the desk so they feel different texture. If they have sand or if they have sandpaper, so they get a feel of it everywhere, and they write it in the air as well. The second part here is the Play-Doh letters part. With their Play-Doh, they form the shape of the letter. So they saw the picture, they saw the letter, they heard the letter, and this stage is they feel the letter. And when it's multisensory, like doing all with their senses, it becomes internalized by young learners. And here we usually have a coloring part with a theme associated, like it was ant. So this is an ant village, and you've got the ants here. So they color it however they wish. So it's kind of embedding or nailing the image and the concept and the sound and the feeling of the letter together. Then the following 2 pages actually provides the context. Now it's quite difficult to provide a context. So instead of creating a meaningful context, I try to create a funny context, like awkward things, like we've got an angry cloud here. So we've got a nice scenery, we've got animals, and we've got a boy, clear blue sky, but we've got an angry cloud. Or we've got a cat next to the giraffe. Or here, this is like an Africa safari. This part is more like a beach, etc. So it's some sort of context and different pictures of words where you can find the letter as the initial sound right at the beginning, somewhere in the middle, or at the end. So they can see the letter in different parts. What do? They find all the A's. So it's kind of a recognition. Okay, where is it? And they circle it, and then we read it together. So initial, 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 in the middle, again. So here, for example, you've got 2. And it was quite difficult because we're introducing one sound. It's just the A sound at the stage. So I cannot go into like the A in mall, because that's all. It has to be an A, like cat, apple. Apple is slightly different, but it's also important to throw bits and pieces of information for future reference. If you keep it exactly standard, then the students say, but teacher, it was like this, etc. So adding a few parts of information beforehand is quite important. And here comes, because they need to dance and have fun, here comes another sound where they dance and enjoy the letter as well. Sorry. So you can see what it is like.
Letter in the alphabet. A is a vowel. A letter in the alphabet. Hat, hat, hat. Taking a nap, nap. Ave, brave. Playing a game.
The kids like the rap kind of songs, so they really enjoy it. They become, you know, like as if they're rap singers, or, you know, you should see the moments of them. They're so sweet. Then the next 2 pages, after that nice, you know, break, they come and they start tracing. This part is the, you know, I'm tired, teacher, kind of part. And because they write a lot, they write in their Turkish lessons as well. So their little tiny fingers get tired easily because they're developing their muscles. And it's quite tiring actually for them. So we usually don't force them. If they come up until here, that's okay, as for the beginning. Then from real or normal daily life, I try to put samples. For example, here we've got the months that start with A. And the secondary agenda is also to revise the months and remember them, and what a calendar is, what does it look like, etc. So again, it's not just about the sound or teaching how to read, teaching other things as well. And they like puzzles, different kinds of puzzles we usually use. For example, this is a labyrinth where a big A shape, and an ant eater finds the ants, which is actually sad because it goes and eats all the ants up. So it might be better not to find the way. Okay. There are some activities. So far, they learned the sound S and they learned the sound A. So the teacher has pictures of S words and A words, and they're all mixed up, and they come and stick it on the board. So they look at the word, the picture and the word, of course, at this stage, and they stick it in that part. So they're differentiating and they're remembering their previously learned knowledge as well. And then comes the fun with sound. And these 2 pages, it's usually fun activities, but meaningful activities as well. Sometimes it could be like rhymes like Alice the ant and Anne the alligator love April. Some like tongue twisters, and animals eat all the apples in August. So it's lots of art going on, and you know, it's fun. They trace the A and color the capitals and lowercase. Awareness at the stage. This part is they look at the picture and they just add the A's, and it's angry. So it's initial, middle, initial, initial, middle, initial, end. And they practice writing them as well. The last part is actually creation. They're creating something with the letter A. And here are some examples, but they can design whatever they want that starts with A, like apple, alligator, astronaut, art. What were these? I forgot. Apple again, ants walking. Okay, so they design something and they actually really do the meaning, the context with the letter. And we usually end the sound with the Alpha Blocks, the BBC program, which actually teaches blending of sounds. Show you if I can. Sometimes when you start it in the middle, oops, okay. All right. Never mind. I've got another one to briefly, do we have time, Hojam?
Hojam, as far as I can see over your screen, it's 48. I'm cheating over here. So this session is designed as an hour long meeting with some questions. Maybe after this brief demonstration, another example that you wanted to share with us, maybe we can move on to the question answer part, if you're okay
I'll
with
just,
that.
because most parts are the same, I just want to show a few different parts with this.
Okay. This is
if
great
I can-
actually, because they are trying their best at this moment to come up with some activity ideas. They're designing activities to tap into, you know, early young learners, basically, phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, maybe morphology knowledge. So they are thinking of, you know, some good, effective ways that are, as you also described, contextualized, game-based, colorful, interactive, and multisensory. So they are probably picking up a lot of information from your examples from your demonstrations.
I don't know why, but something happened to PowerPoint. Let me close the other one, then maybe it will, okay. Maybe it would. No. Very interesting. I don't know why. My computer is so tired.
I know,
because
working too
it's
hard.
loaded. Yes, yes. And let me try this one. Maybe it would.
And because they include sound files, I think
Yeah, they're
big,
quite
big
large.
files.
True. But I don't know. Okay. Just one last thing I can try and see.
Sure.
If not, because I just wanted to show about both this. Oh, cool. Not going to show. Okay.
It says desktop, maybe it appears on your desktop. No.
Maybe. Let me see. It's actually recorded here, but let me see. Don't know. It's probably because the previous one, you know, crashed.
Causing
And
the
it's-
trouble, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, probably because of that. But the idea of the adding culture, adding what the students in other countries know is, you know, the nursery rhymes. For example, in the letter P, the sound P is presented through Peter, Peter, Pumpkin Eater, you know, and that's a song that everybody knows in the world, and it's quite popular. So just because I grew up in Australia, so I'm very familiar with nursery rhymes, and because I was exposed to them firsthand, so I know what kids actually know. So I try to include them into the program as well. So like hickory dickory duck, the mouse went up the clock, and
Humpty Dumpty, maybe.
yeah, things like that. So the sounds were associated to those common nursery rhymes and songs. And the fun parts, the rhymes, the riddles, the puzzles, they were also associated with what the kids use in other countries. So that was the hidden second agenda of the program. But basically, when we think of teaching the alphabet first, this is why we don't advise teaching the alphabet before teaching the sounds. Let's say after sound, let's say about 20 sounds later, you can teach the alphabet, because then they become familiar. Okay, they have sounds and they have letter names. But if you teach the letter names before, they try to read everything, yes,
Like, yeah.
with those names. And and the teacher's book actually has a certain cycle, and that certain cycle, like it practices the previous one. It presents the sound, and first you hear it, you see it, you feel it, kind of structure with adding all the senses, and a fixed structure. And you know, young learners usually love routines. When they complete the first sound book, the first 5 letters, they become so accustomed to the system. Some teachers gave me feedback, Hujam, I looked at the books and the student at home carried on and finished the second sound set because they enjoyed doing the activity. Yes, they couldn't wait. And actually that's good. I mean, I don't, because they like it and they want to do more about it, which is usually something we like. You know, they do it, they want to do it. It's like an activity book for them. So
colorful, cutting, pasting, coloring. So
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
Thank
Well,
you. For this wonderful presentation, for introducing your program to us, and walking us through all of those stages, all of the details that you actually considered as you were establishing this program for your young learners. So this is what you implement at the pre-primary and the first grade only, grade 1, kinder.
Yes, because the normal course books, the main course books, usually have a phonics part, and they actually deal with the rest of phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. But the gap in between, I mean, that part was missing. They directly go into teaching, for example, digraphs like 2 sounds or the other things, or the sh or the ch or the other things, but the basic is not there. So it's a giant leap for young ones. But when we do this program in between, they carry on easily because they know what they're doing, what it's about, and what they have to do. They become familiar. So, and the course book carries on itself.
All right. Thank you so much, Lis Hocam.
Thank you, Jack.
Any questions, any comments for Lis Hocam? Olcan seems like he's raising his hand. Olcan?
Yes, I did. So, ma'am, for teaching phonics to, for example, young learners, a more of a conceptualized approach is preferred. And the best way of teaching phonics is through implicit instructions through the assistance of other materials, such as visuals. Am I correct?
Can you repeat your question? I couldn't hear some part of it.
Best way for teaching phonetics, for example, to young learners is through implicit instructions through the assistance of other materials, such as visuals. Am I correct?
Definitely. And raising awareness all the time. Like it's the alligator, and it becomes a song, or they see an ant and they go, It's so nailed down, it's anchored into their system. And whenever they see so it's ant, alligator, animal, it's and they link it. But you need to link it with the visual, the sound, and the movement, writing on each other as well, or Play-Doh letters. So if you like, you can also add, when it comes to segmenting and blending, actually there are some kinesthetic techniques. For example, cat, you can start from the sound, like it's, let's say this is the 3-button approach, like it's and you speed it up, you go cat, and you blend the word. Or you can segment the word, like when you say it's book, it's actually book. So it's got 3 sounds, actually, 4 letters. So that's also different. But you can do it physically, like the ant. I would recommend having a look at Jolly Phonics. Jolly Phonics has a lot of videos, how to segment and how to blend the sounds. Because when you isolatedly teach the s-at or s-ap, then how are they going to combine them, aren't they? So there are very good techniques, like the sound is also a movement. So you can associate the with a picture of an ant, the sound, and the movement of ant walking up your arm as well. And they have special things as well to have, like, for example, sound buttons. It's basically a word card with buttons, round red dots under it, where you can, it's also on the handout, by the way. For example, the word bat, you see it, and you seem to be pressing the buttons, and the students say so, and you blend it, it becomes bat. So blending and segmenting would be helpful to watch videos on either YouTube. They're very good videos for that. And Jolly Phonics, I would highly recommend. They have plenty of activities for research.
Let's type it over here.
Okay, I see. Thanks.
Phonics.
Also, I would like to have a last question for you, ma'am. Where are you from? Your pronunciation of certain words kind of had me wondering, but I could not spot it.
Australia.
For example, no. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. God damn it, I knew it.
Yes.
For example, your pronunciation of no.
No, yeah,
You
okay.
do not really pronounce the v. It's more like no.
True. This is my modified version, actually, because at first students usually did not understand what I was saying, so I had to modify it a bit to make it a bit more general, because there were some really weird words that, you know, we use in Australia, some really strong parts. I even forgot them, not using them. But yeah, okay, so.
Any other questions from the audience?
I don't see any hand. Yes.
So I would like to ask, it is all good and all, but when it comes to assessment part, some of the teachers or some, let's say, we also may have neglect our students' process, like are they performing enough in the sound k or s? So how can we just, let's say, mitigate those neglections in the process?
Actually, I have one other document. Now, with some students, teaching phonics can fail, by the way, which is a rare case, but still it can happen. But for the others, we have, for example, we have a sheet. It's on the handout as well. And we track students' learning of the sounds. And if they have problems, we give them extra practice with it. And because that's usually about the map of the students, like association or understanding. Sometimes they don't have the necessary background to understand what you're talking about. So you need to work on that as well. But that's very rare. So far in the past 4 years, we did not face anything like that. And but still sometimes that's because in their Turkish lesson, they have their same approach. By the way, interestingly, the synthetic phonics sound ordering is also very hand in hand with the Turkish one. In what way? In the way that the synthetic phonics ordering starts with the most normal sounds. For example, it's
straightforward ones.
Yes, you know, they're normal, like it's but and it's
everywhere.
Yes, definitely.
Consistent ones.
Definitely, but you know, C is not taught at the beginning because it's C, it's taught later on because it's not normal. It's something, you know, weird. And then comes the digraphs like the sh or the ch, you know, two things coming together and making one sound. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question, Berfin Dilara. Have I? I said many things, but
I think that was sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
She was, I think, worried about the ways of checking their progress, whether they're comprehending, whether they're following, and making progress along the way.
That's also, I mean, it carries on at the same time. So you need to be aware, like, let's finish all the sounds and then let me check what you learned is not quite realistic. So when you're teaching, you would get all this and see if they've really understood it and then proceed with the second one, that is a, and you would check again with this and add up to that and then put them together as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a building on top of each other, so you would know what's going on.
Yeah, one thing that caught my attention was, you know, you were talking about recycling some information, like teaching the days of the week or the months of the year, and you were specifically referring to the fourth month and the 8th month of the year. The fourth was April, and that was quite matching with the A, you know, that you were trying to introduce. But the 8th month was August, starting with the letter A. So was it intentional? Did you intentionally choose August, but not maybe May? May would be a nice one. It's in the middle position and it's the same sound, but O for August is different.
Actually, the beginning of the program, like the first one is, and the second one is so they are getting used to the idea of, you know, they are like aware of, you know, the middle sounds or the end sounds, but you know, okay, it starts with a bit more mechanical at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually don't. Some of my teachers actually voiced this concern, and they were worried, like, okay, when we do this, isn't it going to be a problem because it's not
Consistent.
totally the same? But it didn't. It didn't create a problem because they just accept it and move on, because it's not analytical, their way of learning.
Yeah, sure.
So they just get it and they carry on. There are a few things like that, you know, quite awkward, you know, like, why is this here at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
That's intentional because it's not standard. That's the nature of the phonics program as well. It's not standard.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a taste of that slowly helps them too. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah. So you are also maybe intentionally throwing that different one, like everything is matching, it's all the same color, but then there's this other shade of it that I'm adding into the picture with the hopes of the young learners or the teachers, you know, catching on that little detail. But that's definitely not in the center of their attention, you know, you're not directing. And in a very similar manner, Animal had like 2 A's, but then the initial one is the A, but then the second one did not sound A at all. So like that, I guess you were trying to add different flavors of the same sound, or the same letter actually being represented by different sounds.
Just like in grammar teaching as well. For example, in a present simple written reader, you can find a simple past sentence in between just thrown in there, so that, you know, oh, okay. And most of the time you don't even realize that. You just carry on and it's secretly going into the system through the subconscious.
Thank you so much, Liz Hocam, for your time, for informing us. And there are so many thank yous in the chat box for you, for your contribution as well. So I'm so happy to have you over in my class once again. And I look forward to seeing you again later today.
Hopefully, Hocam. Thank you very much. It was wonderful being here. So I hope you will have a safe, bright, sunny day.
Thank you. You as well. See you around. Bye-bye.